America is now fighting the war on terror. Not long ago, they were fighting the communists on battlegrounds across America's own backyard in Central America to the jungles of Southeast Asia. Today, the Americans are gone, but they've left their mark. Vietnam today is difficult to understand. It's still very traditional, but our modern consumer culture is growing rapidly. On paper, it's still a communist country, but it's open to the rest of the world. It's distrustful of foreign power, but welcoming to foreign investment. But there is one thing that the Vietnamese and an increasing number of tourists flock to see: the heroic victories over the French colonisers and the US imperialists. In an effort to defeat the communist Viet Cong, the Americans had supported French colonialism and then an authoritarian president. Song was at Red Beach in 1965 when 200,000 US soldiers arrived to do the job themselves. One person said that when the Americans arrived, they put posters up everywhere saying, "We'll defeat the VC within 6 months."
Yes, that's true. I remember the slogan they hand along this, there was no street here, but along the beach they hand the slogan saying that we will defeat the VC in 1 month, something like that. But no one believed in doing that because they don't know who were their enemies. I know many American GIs who were 17, 18 years old. They were sent to Vietnam. They didn't know the reason why. They have no reason to come and fight here, and they have no motive. VC was everywhere. VC could be a taxi driver, could be a cyclo driver, could be a young boy who polished the shoes, could be the street vendors, could be teachers, the doctors, everywhere.
Although massive amounts of ground troops arrived here in 1965, the Americans had been involved since 1950, funding and advising the French. The first few names that appear on the Vietnam Veterans Wall, which is where the names appear by date, appear in 1954, which surprises some people. And by the end of the war with the French, the Americans are funding 78% of their operations here. Visiting journalists have to be escorted by a government minder. Tang would be with us every day and make sure we showed Vietnam in a good light. The tunnels of Cu Chi are a highlight in every guidebook. So you can hear gunfire nearby, but it's they've got a firing range here for tourists. I don't quite look like Rambo, do I, with my 10 bullets? There is no better way to see the ingenuity of the VC. This was a tunnel exit?
Yeah. Can you identify? One around here.
Oh, in this area?
Okay, can you identify somewhere else, somewhere around?
Here. Tầm đi đảo. Hồi xưa mình xuống đây có thể mình xuống. Hai nó lắp đi hầm lại, không biết đường đâu nó làm theo.
I see.
And that leads to 3 different floors.
Three different floors, yes.
Bye bye.
See you again.
Entire communities survived underground, some for as long as 10 years.
Hello.
Hello. You want to try?
I can fit through there?
No, I don't think so.
Let me just fit through there.
Okay. No, hand first.
I like this.
Yeah.
No, I can't fit. Oh, maybe.
What's it like down there?
Tiny. There's a tiny tunnel you'd have to lay down to get through, but that's it. It's about 3 feet deep.
Hands up. Amazing.
Designed perfectly. So when the Americans first came here, there was a brief firefight, and afterwards they moved forward and they found the trenches and they found rice, but they found no bodies and no enemy. They thought they just disappeared into thin air. Eventually, one American soldier sat down to have a rest, and as he sat down, he felt a pain in his arse, and he thought he'd been bitten. So he jumped up very quickly and rummaged through the foliage to find out what had bitten him. It was actually part of a nail of a trapdoor, and that was the first time they'd discovered the tunnel. That was in 1966. Other innovations were less fun.
Harder for you.
You'd fall down and
Yes.
many spikes would go in you.
Trong hơn liền để không sao khoảng 7-8 tấc vậy. Để dưới.
Oh, and that one, so you fall in,
Yeah.
you get spiked on the bottom, and if you try and pull yourself up, you get spiked again, trying to pull your leg out. And these would trap people?
Yeah.
And then they'd be captured
Yeah.
and treated?
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So this was the door of a civilian's house. So when the Americans used to go in looking for VC and going from house to house, that would be hanging above, and they'd step through the door and... The underground tunnel network was over 250 kilometres long and had concealed entrances everywhere. They used to be much, much smaller than this, but they've made them wider for the tourists, the bigger tourists. They had families used to live down here, firing range, storage facilities, hospitals. The Americans had tried napalm, but the range washed it away. They'd also tried sniffer dogs, but the VC used perfume and captured American uniforms to confuse them. Once the Americans finally discovered these tunnels, they did actually send men down here looking for VC and intelligence. The men were called the tunnel rats, and all they had was a knife, a handgun and a torch, and they came down here completely alone in pitch black darkness, not having a clue where they were going or what was lying just round the corner. In the end, the Americans just carpet-bombed the entire area.
Nhỏ con không mấy ảnh, tôi nhỏ hay chứ chui nó không.
He's smaller, so he can get through it without any dirty.
It's clean and dry, and
Yeah.
I look like I've been sleeping on the streets for a
Yeah.
few days. But places like Cu Chi could leave you with a comic book impression of the war. But as US forces became increasingly frustrated by an enemy they could rarely even see, let alone defeat, it was often civilians who paid the price.
Cô nói về cái chỗ đó mà
Nó xô xuống ầu ầu, tới chừng nó tập trung rồi lâu rồi nó biểu ngồi xuống thì ngồi, nó biểu đứng dậy thì đứng rồi tới chừng nó muốn bán nữa nên nó xô đâu nó bán đó, xô đâu nó bán đó thì tôi vừa ngã xuống đây thì tức là người bán chết nó chặn tôi xuống dưới thì hồi đó là tôi giá đò tôi chết, tôi không cự á. Lần thứ ba đó là ông cha tôi già rồi nhưng mà ông còn sống ông đây vậy nè. Ông đối thủ ông đây vậy nè mà tôi làm tôi liếc mắt tôi thấy cha tôi đây mà tôi không dám nói. Ý trong bụng là nó là cha làm thứ ba có sống không cha. Nhưng mà không dám nói. Nói rồi nó ngã nó đứng đi bạc rồi nó ngã. Chừng cha tôi lũ tuổi đây thì nó bán ba nửa cái đầu, nó bán đầu không? Đầu ở đây bán bụng không đâu.
"504 civilians were killed in one morning because they were suspected of supporting the VC. This was no rogue operation. Senior military brass, including a major general, hovered overhead as the massacre took place."
Đây là người bạn thân ôm đứa con giết.
The woman in the picture is one of her friends killed savagely.
Pham Thi Toan only survived because there were so many bodies between her and the soldiers who were firing.
Là mình rể của tôi.
He is her brother-in-law and his son lying beside. Cái đám này của cái ai?
Đám thì tôi đi dài mát là không thấy, thấy lắm. Ví dụ như anh này là ông chạy bán cho con ông nào chỗ.
I've just asked her if she can recognize any in the pile of bodies killed there. She said her eyes are too blurred to see. Picture is not clear to it.
The battalion even had a photographer with them, so the evidence was irrefutable.
So Lieutenant Kelly was the only man found guilty of murder here, the only man found guilty of anything. He was given life imprisonment, but Nixon got him parole to just 3 years under house arrest.
Forever hatred against Americans invaders.
So we will hate the American invaders forever, in other words. There are some people in the village and here who are still quite hostile, even to us, because we look American.
Still hatred around. Maybe this place or any place in the world, Iraq, Afghanistan, just the same massacre and hatred still. So they said, if you sow the wind, you will harvest the storm.
Tang was watching everything that was being said. Everyone we spoke to had been given strict instructions, and 2 girls from the People's Committee made sure everyone stuck to the rules.
Even here we've got our guy, our minder from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we've got 2 officials from the People's Committee, who you expect to be kind of ashen-faced old generals, but they're snotty young girls who are better dressed than everybody else. It's basically a good job for the daughters and sons of the leadership.
Used to be the war country.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Vietnam and Cambodia or something. Is it the idea? The idea for the future, your program. So encourage people. The purpose is to encourage people.
Oh yeah. I think this will encourage people to come. The trouble is, it's difficult when you have people with you all the time to meet people. You know.
Good morning. Xin chào. Today we are heading north. We'll take Highway 1 to Quang Tri province. The northernmost.
One group of tourists the horror of war won't escape are the American veterans, returning to Vietnam in growing numbers. Luckily, none of them spoke Vietnamese.
Trời sao thấp thoáng lấp lánh soi sang đường châu đi, đi ta đi giải phóng miền Nam khi quê hương mình vẫn còn những tên xâm lược, thì ta còn chiến đấu quét sạch nó đi, lời bác thúc giục chúng ta chiến đấu cho non nhà vươn nước hòa lời ca.
The Americans believe that by seeing Vietnam today, they'll be able to deal with the Vietnam that still haunts them and consign it to the past. But in order to succeed in this, they have to visit the sites where they suffered their greatest losses.
That is a rock pile. The observation post. And on top there was a U.S. Marine lookout and a landing pad for helicopters.
Beth Marie was a nurse during the war and has returned 3 times since.
hundreds, if not thousands, of casualties came from the rock pile because they would take the rock pile and then leave it and have to take it again in another couple of weeks. So it was sort of an act of futility. I always saw the rock pile as an act of futility from listening to the guys. They go, we took it 3 weeks ago and now half my squad's been wiped out because we're going to take it again.
And what does it mean for you to come back to it now?
It means to come back and witness to all the guys who were injured or killed and to remember them and to shed a few tears for them.
But for some of the vets, seeing celebrations of famous American defeats, like Khe Sanh, was too much to take.
When we come to these areas, you know, like we're stuck in this war, like this war just happened last week or something like that.
Right.
Hopefully in 10 years, we can come here to Vietnam and not see this display of animosity between two countries.
What are our tools now for overcoming suffering and medical needs and peace in the world and those things? Where are our tools? They're not to be found, but all the presidents still want to think of themselves as being conquerors who go and correct all the wrongs and ills through the big stick. We've got the biggest stick and we'll take care of it. Well, like Bush, he said, we'll just do it ourselves.
Talk like that made Tang anxious. Criticism of American policy could harm American investment in Vietnam.
But we can't criticise the American policy here.
It's better not shoot anyone to criticize.
The Americans themselves, you mean?
Yeah.
Because when we talk to them, and they say, all of them say within 6 months, they were against the war. They thought it was bad, and the Americans say that themselves, not us, the Americans.
Yeah, I know. It should not on the TV, because I don't want to take the Vietnamese land to criticize the policy now. So because it's not my purpose to shoot the schedule, right?
Yeah, sure, but I mean, we can't really do our job here.
But criticising America's past policy is still okay. It's unavoidable in Saigon's main hospital, which is home to a few hundred of the thousands of horrifically deformed children who started to appear in the 1970s as the war was drawing to a close. Today, a third generation of babies is being born with the same deformities.
There's a boy there on the left-hand side with no eyes. Just skin. Barely even a dent where his eyes should be. There's another boy whose eyelids are far more open than they should be. He's got a huge body, tiny deformed legs and a head the size of a watermelon.
These deformities are blamed on a chemical defoliant called Agent Orange, which the Americans sprayed over South Vietnam's jungles to deny the VC cover and food.
Nè, ôm hôn chú đi, ôm cổ hôn, hoa lên. Rồi,
Tony Blair moment.
These kids are the luckiest of the victims, as they are the few who are shown to the outside world. Most are left with their families and given tiny monthly allowances. The US says there is still not enough proof that Agent Orange is responsible, and no compensation has been offered.
Tired. Is there any doubt in her mind who's responsible?
Absolutely not. The Americans unleashed Agent Orange on Vietnam during the war, so it is they who are responsible.
From this point onwards, what's the best you can hope for?
Về mặt đạo lý thì tôi cũng nghĩ là nếu mà người Mỹ họ có trách nhiệm hơn.
The Americans should take the bulk of the responsibility. They should do their bit for humanitarian reasons.
Đứng trên phương diện nhân đạo thì họ phải có trách nhiệm vấn đề họ đã.
We've received a lot of delegations from different countries. They were really shocked and asked why the US isn't doing anything to help the victims. I'm still hopeful that in time, word will get out from our friends around the world and things will get better.
While the jungles of the south were being sprayed with Agent Orange, the cities of the north were being bombed by fleets of B-52s, one of which is still in a Hanoi lake after it was shot down.
At 11:05 on December 27th, 1972, the battalion number 72, Air Defence Missile Regiment number 285, shot down on the spot a B-52 of the US imperialist, violating Hanoi airspace.
Bồi dưỡng cô mất phở hay cái gì đấy. Mặt cô hôm nay nó sạch sẽ, cô lo hẹn cô trước mà. Không sao, không sao. Bình thường nhưng mà đây chương trình làm về du lịch. Bình thường cái gì, còn bình thường nó hẹn cô trước đấy. Hẹn cô mấy ngày rồi. Cô tên là gì ạ? Cô tên là Hồng. Cô Hồng, đây có thể.
And she was here on December the 27th?
Năm 12 là ở đây rồi. Thế nhưng mà
I was here in 1972. I was 16 or 17. I was in my house when the B-52 came down.
Thì lúc ấy tôi đang ở trong nhà. Thì
I heard the sound of a big explosion, and that plane over there came hurtling down.
Rơi xuống.
Can you describe what it was like when the B-52s flew over and dropped bombs?
Ui rồi lúc ấy bị tai.
It was deafening. I had to cover my ears, I was so scared.
She was so scared that...
I was so terrified I didn't dare take my hands off my ears.
Bị tai vào thì làm sao còn nghe nữa. Lúc mà bỏ cái ngón tay ra thì sợ lắm. Sợ. Đỗ giờ chỗ hàng cơm à?
Would you like something to eat?
There were no soldiers or military barracks or tanks or anything.
Không có quân đội hay là xe tăng ở vùng này.
Không.
Của mình cơ mà.
Không.
So you think they were targeting civilian areas?
Không. Thế cô nghĩ là họ nhắm vào cái mục tiêu dân sự không? Nhắm vào người thường dân và ném bom.
Không, nó xong bắt đầu chỗ nào có máy bay B-52 rơi xuống thì bắt đầu bộ đội nó mới ào đến để nó kiểm tra chứ.
Nhưng mà sao nó lại ném hồi đấy bom này, nó nghĩ nó ném
vào
người dân. What to reverse the area? What to destroy the area?
Then the area was poor, but over the last few years, huge marble houses have started appearing. Although Rose still lives next to her shop.
Is it a surprise to see such big and beautiful houses for one person, for one family?
Nhà ta giàu nó phải đẹp như vậy, nhà mình nghèo được.
You must be very rich man.
Nhà mình nghèo thì làm sao mà đo được cái nhà.
I am so humble that
Nhà nghèo sánh với cả nhà kia nó còn đi bao nhiêu đường đất nó mới làm một cái nhà này. Đâu của con? Cái ông này. Năm nay bao nhiêu tuổi rồi?
How are you now?
How old? 29.
29 đó.
Vợ chưa? Có vợ chưa?
Got marriage?
No. Why, does she have a daughter?
Chưa. Làm con rể cũng không? Làm con rể không?
She has one. I'd like to marry her daughter.
This one? I
Không,
think she's too young.
để năm 80.
The young,
Để năm 80.
The daughter was born in 1980.
Okay, so she's 23.
Yeah.
Cao 1m68, mày tả nó cao 1m68, con gái cô cao 1m68. Năm nay bao nhiêu tuổi rồi?
5'6".
Oh, that's all I need to know about a wife is how tall she is.
Yeah, 5'6".
And 5'6" is perfect.
Mấy 68 thì tuyệt vời.
Đấy, 1m68.
But I'm only here for 4 days.
Đang đi tiếp tục.
There's not enough time for the honeymoon.
And besides, we still had plenty of victory sites left to visit. After peace talks, the Americans finally pulled out of Vietnam in 1973. Images of Vietnamese civilians being massacred and 58,000 American dead had turned the American public against the war. The South Vietnamese held out for 2 years, but in 1975, communist tanks smashed through the gates of Saigon's presidential palace. I had arranged a meeting with the photographer whose pictures were seen all over the world. 29 years earlier, Hong Van Quang was on one of the tanks, whose arrival signified a final communist victory.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
So is this the tank you were sitting on?
That's one. That's one.
So you saw them on Highway 1 and they didn't know the way
They don't know.
to the presidential
That's
palace?
right. That's right. I showed them.
You gave them directions?
They come in first tank, and this one is famous.
And that's you?
Yes, me.
And that's the first tank?
Yeah. This, I am 27 years old. Young man. This first roof, they come in President Palace. This one. President roof.
So that's the balcony here?
Yeah, that's one.
They put the flag up?
Quang was eventually arrested on suspicion of being a foreign spy and sent to a re-education camp for 7 years.
How does it feel to be back here?
I'm feeling. That's my memorial. 29 years ago. I'm here.
But did this seem very decadent? All this money and expensive furniture and desk for one man?
So what about Tony Blair in England?
Yeah, but that's a capitalist country. But it's still not as big as this. Still not as much as this, yeah. But here.
Lấy cái cửa đi gọi là.
1, 2.
He still hasn't been paid for his pictures.
So it's Friday night. We've told our minder that we're knackered and want a good night's sleep. We've actually arranged to go out and see some Amerasians, which are children of US soldiers. The soldiers went home when they could, 1973 mostly, and because the kids didn't look Vietnamese, they were treated like lepers here, so most of them were abandoned by their mothers, and most of them have been on their own ever since.
There are thought to be almost 60,000 Vietnamese Amerasians, although most of them keep a low profile because of the abuse they receive on the city streets. Gil Watts is a Vietnam veteran who has taken up their cause.
I rejected for that reason.
There was a program called Operation Homecoming that gave all children of US servicemen the right to US citizenship.
I don't know how they... You want to sit down?
And everyone here is an Amerasian?
Yes, everyone here. So of course you have some here from black descent and has some white one and some Hispanic one, and you know, the general demographics of the U.S. soldiers.
But when their mothers abandoned them, was that because they didn't look like Vietnamese children? Or just because they couldn't afford them anyway?
Yeah, because they didn't look like Vietnamese children, okay? Some, they were difficult, they were ridiculed. Some of them would take them and leave them with nanas who would try to take care of them. Some would just abandon them.
Dow tried to commit suicide outside the US consulate when she wasn't given citizenship. She was unconscious when Gil's wife found her.
To talk to you.
I don't feel comfortable walking in the street. I can talk with my friends, but they're totally different from me. It really upsets me.
But do people actually say things? Do people actually point or shout?
Cái đó thì nhiều lắm chứ. Nó khỏi gì.
Yes, it happens to me all the time.
Thì họ ý nó hụi núa thôi nhưng mà
I have to accept it because I'm black. They call me Black American.
Họ nói là Mỹ Đan.
It's kind of like Mississippi in the 1930s, I think, isn't it?
Exactly, that's the way it is.
Gil now has 231 Amerasians on his books. Many of them even have photographs of their fathers. But someone from the US consulate has to decide whether or not they qualify for US citizenship.
Basically, it's 3 Americans at the consulate. Sit down and look at them.
Yes,
if
but
one
not,
of them,
not at one time. It's
separately.
Right. And if one of them says that she looks like an Amerasian, then she can qualify to go on the program. Even if she doesn't look like an Amerasian, if they can show documentation that say that prove that she's fathered by an American, then she can go also, even if she doesn't look like it.
But recently the program has been frozen. Corrupt Vietnamese officials have been using the Amerasians to sell US citizenship to other Vietnamese. So for now, everyone here is stuck.
I mean, we can allow lots of people that are not fathered by Americans to come to the United States and gain citizenship, to migrate. So why not the children of American soldiers?
All of us want to go to our father's country. There's too much discrimination here. Our lives are too hard. Our greatest wish is to be with our fathers. Our fathers left us here. If our children stay here, the same thing will happen to them. We don't want to stay here a minute longer.
I have heard from the Vietnamese people saying that the two of you contact with or interview with the Vietnamese people for that. So I feel annoyed about that because we're still in the schedule, the shooting schedule, right? Because the shooting schedule has been approved by the ministry, so it's legal. And if we do anything outside it, it's considered not illegal. Yeah.
Our minder turned up at the hotel earlier on, saying he was annoyed because people had told him we were planning to do things we weren't supposed to be doing, things that weren't on the schedule. He didn't say who these people were or how they'd learnt of our plans, but we have been told that all phone calls are bugged and every page you look at on the internet, every email you send is being read. That night we planned to meet some more Amerasians at 9:30, so we went out about 9 o'clock to get a cup of coffee and just see if we were being followed. And within about 5 minutes he walked in with a guy who he said was his uncle. I think it was a friendly warning that we are actually being watched. Back on the approved schedule, we drove to Bac Ha, on the border with China, where some of Vietnam's ethnic minorities hold a weekly market to trade goods, food and livestock. The government is happy for tourists to come here, as it shows Vietnam's ethnic and cultural diversity, as well as its religious freedom.
I thought we'd found one place in Vietnam that hasn't been infiltrated by MTV and Nike and everything else, but there's David Beckham.
And then and then this one comes out.
Spit the tobacco out?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's what you told me to do?
Yeah, but normally...
Sorry. He told me to do that.
Normally we have weeks one and then you finish it and then it comes out.
More great advice.
Yeah.
Can't believe I'm still listening to you.
brought us here because they think it will show that the ethnic minorities in Vietnam live happily and freely. But in the Central Highlands, there's a group called the Montagnards who are trying to get their ancestral lands back and demonstrating about their lack of religious freedom. And they're being attacked, imprisoned and killed. Of course, we weren't allowed anywhere near there. Once again, the risk of discouraging foreign investment was too great. So apparently within 2 hours of the embargo being lifted on Vietnam in 1994, they were giving out free coke on the streets of Saigon and Hanoi. And ever since the embargo was lifted, foreign investment has meant that some Vietnamese, mostly high-ranking Communist Party officials, have suddenly become extremely rich.
Rolex?
Oh, Rolex.
Who can afford Rolex?
Rolex? Rich people.
Local people?
No, I don't think so.
No Vietnamese? Some?
Some, yeah.
Who?
The very rich one. With the entrepreneur.
Yeah? Thanks. Oh, I see. We should get that.
You want?
Yeah.
70,000.
Ronald Reagan, the man who beat communism.
the Soviet Union, right?
Oh, just the Soviet Union, not communism. Because communism is still alive and well in Vietnam? It's still alive and well and wearing a Rolex.
Although state-owned and heavily controlled, people are even allowed to gamble now.
The winner and the runner.
Oh, you have to pick first and second place?
Yeah.
That's very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 followed by 10. Thank you. Which one's yours? 10-4.
10-4, yes.
10-4 is you?
Yes.
Who did you choose?
Which one do you like? This way? Okay, I like number 10 and number 9.
I got number 10, number 7.
No, I don't like number 7.
No?
Number 10 and number 9.
Okay. But you're picking the favourite followed by the second favourite. That's easy.
Yes.
That's easy betting.
Yeah. Number 7, no good. I think so.
None of them look any good.
Maybe 10-4. Number 10 first, number 4 second.
Can I still bet?
Yeah.
Number 10, number 4? I can still bet?
Yeah,
Yeah?
maybe.
Thank you. Oh, same as you? No. Oh, you've got... I've got 4 followed by 10. Four followed by 10.
No.
Yeah, but 10 followed by 4 is gone.
Upside down.
He has 10 followed by 4.
Okay, SMU.
10-4.
Okay.
They told me I can't bet 10-4.
Yeah.
They told me it's been sold. It's a fix. You can't have too many people betting on the same prediction, so the bookie's never going to lose. 10 followed by 4. Everybody's got 10 followed by 4. They told me I couldn't have it. Was it tourists aren't allowed to bet on the favourite?
No.
The favourite's not even there. The favourite's in 5th.
Yeah.
So number 10's finished.
9-3.
9-3.
9-3.
So where's the favourite? Favourite's in 4th. Your horse is number 4. Great tip. Everybody bet for the favourite, followed by the second favourite. The second favourite won, and the last-minute substitute came second. It's pony. The horses that like ponies in the betting system is pony.
If you need further proof, that communist Vietnam has adopted a truly free market economy, you can't do any better than visit the flourishing crocodile farms.
We're going fishing for communist crocodiles. You got a bit.
This crocodile centre teaches locals how to run their own independent farms, which are now making good profits by selling meat and a long range of stylish crocodile skin accessories.
Yeah, we'll move them out of the way. You say stay or go? Go.
Bãi bỏ nó cầm cây vô canh chừng phụ hả?
They're not that big.
I'm sure they're big enough.
I'll keep an eye on him. The government says this is an example of them embracing a free market economy so that people can prosper. To me, it looks more like the government embracing a free market economy and then people needing the money so badly that they're willing to turn their back gardens into crocodile farms.
291 crocodiles altogether.
And she's got a plot of land which is about 20 feet wide and about not much more than 100 feet long. And 291 crocodiles.
Tức là nếu mà cùng một cái diện tích này mà nuôi thì nó lại hơn so với nuôi heo.
Lại hơn mình trồng cây hoặc là
Small,
nuôi heo chứ.
You weren't afraid?
Thì có sợ?
Sợ thì có sợ chứ.
Yeah.
Tại biết là cũng quen.
What about the kids? They're afraid?
Chở chị thì vô thoải mái này.
Em chào có sợ? Dạ.
Thank you.
Rất cảm ơn chị ạ.
Dạ. Giữ em á, khóa cửa chuồng.
I thought Ho Chi Minh would be spinning in his grave with all this free market economy and luxury for the lucky few. But he didn't have a grave. Even he has become a tourist attraction.
We can go inside, but we're not allowed to take pictures inside.
Yes.
Yeah. His body's on display in there?
Yeah.
In his will, didn't he say he wants to be cremated and his ashes put in the north, the central highlands and the south? And have just a tree planted over the ashes?
Yeah, so he want to show that his sentiment to everybody at every corner of the country.
But instead he got embalmed and put in there. And do you think Vietnam today is like his idea?
Yes.
When he pictured Vietnam after independence?
Yes. I think he must be happy with Vietnam today. Yeah.
Communist hardliners say that America has won the final victory in Vietnam. One thing is certain, every communist victory we were taken to see was at least 30 years old. If the party wants to survive with any kind of public support, it needs another big victory, and soon. Cambodia is a popular destination for young backpackers, but it's still a desperately poor country, struggling to pull itself together after American bombs killed as many as 600,000 and a 4-year genocide killed at least 1.5 million. Our guide was Sunny, whose family fled the genocide to Thailand. He returned in the early 90s when his country was becoming notorious for sex tourism, which is now officially discouraged.
There's a new advertising campaign, abuse a child in this country, go to jail in yours. There's a Buddhist temple in front of the casino, and about 10% the size of the casino. You think that's about right for the relationship now between religion and money? 10% religion, 90% money.
This is all the rich people's house.
These are private houses?
Yeah, these are private houses.
But if it's such a poor country that they can't afford to help landmine victims or build roads, then how come we've seen quite a lot of areas like that where there are like palaces for private houses?
Long time ago, the king said that if there is a World Olympic game on corruption, he thinks Cambodia will take all the gold medals.
If people didn't seem too angry about corruption, that may be because they've had bigger problems. During the war in neighbouring Vietnam, the communist VC used Cambodia as a hiding place. The US responded by dropping more bombs on Cambodia than it dropped during the whole of World War II.
The roof and this is the Buddha statues.
Yeah.
This was destroyed really during the war. Part of the American bomb destroying this temple.
Do you know why they would bomb this?
I don't know why, but it's part of the war. America just dropped everywhere. There's no reason. I don't understand why they dropped in Cambodia anyway. And they dropped everywhere in the whole country, from south to west.
To start with, they just dropped on the Vietnam-Cambodia border, didn't they? On the Ho Chi Minh Trail. They said they were just aiming for Vietnamese guerrillas only.
Sure. And it claimed to be the secret bomb, which is for us, for Cambodian, it's not secret because a lot of us die. How can you keep it secret? No way. It's evident. It's the damage is still remain, and a lot of people still remember the story. It's really helping Khmer Rouge to take over the country because a lot of Cambodian people feel very angry because all of the bomb and everything. So they decided to help the Khmer Rouge.
The Khmer Rouge was just a small guerrilla group which controlled parts of the countryside. But now thousands joined them in their fight against the government, who they were told had approved the US bombing. The Khmer Rouge took power in April of 1975. 4 weeks later, they seized an American ship and its crew. The US had failed to stop the spread of communism in Cambodia, and Secretary of State Henry Kissinger decided that a face-saving gesture was badly needed.
We're on our way to the island of Koh Tang, which was the scene of the final act of the Americans in this part of the world. President Ford said that what happened here gave not just the White House, but the American people as a whole a new spark of confidence. Other people have said that what happened here meant the Americans ended their wars in this region in the same way as they started them, which was with a show of bravado, deceit, and massive loss of life.
Kissinger persuaded President Ford to send in the Air Force and the Marines, 18 of whom would be killed. But the crew members of the American ship had already been released.
So they're saying that they think this is the big crater here. And that it doesn't look like much of a crater because it's sand, so the sand has been blown across and filled in the hole. But there used to be loads of coconut trees here, and now there aren't. They were just stumps which have now died. The bomb that was dropped here is a seismic bomb. It's a 15,000-pound bomb. And it destroys everything within 100 square metres. And the seismic ripples are supposed to destroy everything within nearly 2.5 kilometres.
Not all of the American bodies were recovered, and some were only found 4 years ago.
So the body they dug up here will have been one of the last Americans killed in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. And his name will be one of the last on the Vietnam Veterans War in Washington, D.C., because the names are arranged by date. The first few names appear in 1954, and the last date, his date, is 1975.
As well as Cambodia, South Vietnam had also just fallen to communism. 18 Marines died so that Henry Kissinger and President Ford could leave Indochina with a show of defiance. The number of Cambodians killed is not known. few could have known what would come next. The Khmer Rouge regime was so brutal that every Cambodian was affected, and even the most beautiful ancient sites are now also the sites of horror stories. At one Buddhist temple, we met Sum, who lost almost his entire family to the Khmer Rouge.
People were killed and thrown in?
Yeah, from there.
Or killed up here?
Yeah. They throw them from the top through here. It's quite lots of them. And this place where I was told that some of them have survived.
Some of the people that were thrown in here survived?
One or two of them have survived.
Because presumably after 2 or 3 years there was quite a big pile of
Yes.
bodies, so that would maybe break their fall.
Yep. Full in here.
And when you first came here, there were skulls
literally
across here?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the caves here, a lot of the skulls here, you can see the back of the skull is literally smashed off. Most of them, actually.
Yeah.
So how did it feel coming back?
Shocking, because one of my family, I mean my mother's, my sister, my brother, they died. They said this is shocking, and also myself, I must get to kill as well. When you can, that time I was like 15 years old. I asked to work in the field as well.
Because, I mean, no one knows how many people died during those years, but they think it's, what, roughly 1.5 million?
Yes.
And most of them weren't actually killed, they were starved to death or worked to death?
Worked to death. I think half of them have worked to death. Because in my village where I'm, it's not like 15 kilometers away from here. They have worked to death. A lot of them worked to death. Worked to death, which means when they got sick, no medicines. They have the traditional medicine, but no way to get enough. With my mom's date, I could not find her grave because I went there a couple of years ago, but I was told that because of there's no proper cremations, just on the ground. Talking about this again, just like compared to these people, they're lucky they have the skull and bone, but my mom just is gone.
So of the 1.5 million who died, they think 100,000 were executed, and they think roughly 20,000 of them were broken down over 3 or 4 months, and they tried to get confessions, information out of people, but the other 80,000 were just killed on a whim. One author described it as impulsive overreaction.
20,000 were brought to Tul Sling, which used to be a high school. No more than 8 survived. Yuk Chang lost his sister to the Khmer Rouge and now collects evidence about who was killed, how they were killed, and what it was the Khmer Rouge was hoping to achieve. But time is running out, as there are only a few senior leaders still alive.
This is Nunjia here. That's Pol Pot, and that's Nunjia. These are just kids?
Yeah, this is children of the prisoner. Usually when they arrest the man, they also arrest the wife, and when they have children, they also arrest the children together. And none of these alive, all dead, none of them.
So once their mother or father has confessed, they not only kill them, but kill the whole family?
The whole family, kill the whole family.
Under Pol Pot and Nun Chia, the Khmer Rouge wanted to eradicate history and start from scratch, or year zero as they called it. All those with an education were the enemy, and were usually tortured until they admitted to being foreign spies.
So this woman here, for example, she's, what, 70 years old?
I mean, how can that be a spy?
Yeah.
What kind of spy could be this old lady?
Also, even if everybody here is 35, 40 years old, the perfect age for a spy, there's not 17,000 spies in Cambodia.
It's hoped that all this evidence will one day be used by an international tribunal.
It is important to have a trial, not because that we want to kill them or to shoot them or to bring back those 2 million lives that we have lost, but to bring about a process so that we all can bring a closure and we can move on. And that's the most important of the tribunal. I mean, you cannot just let them to move on. And how about these people? Who responds for this killing? Who responds for 2 million people? Who responds for my sister? It got to be the answer to it. It must be somebody.
But so far, 2 million people, I mean, no one knows how many, but 2 million people killed, and not one person has been prosecuted.
Exactly, and that's why there's still a demand from the public. People have been demanding this for 24 years. Not a single day that Cambodian people forget to talk about this issue.
The International Tribunal could be up and running within 6 months. So Sunny and I went to Pei Lin to see if Nun Chia, also known as Brother Number 2, would plead guilty.
The travel book said, unless you want to hang out with geriatric mass murderers, don't bother coming to Pei Lin. But there are still, like Nun Chia, who we're going to see. Mm-hmm. He's responsible for the deaths of maybe tens of thousands of people.
Sure.
And he's living freely.
Sure. This man, he's he really committed a crime against humanity, but this day he claimed that he's innocent. So we don't believe, all the Cambodian people know that he was a murderer.
The signs by the road that led to his house weren't exactly welcome mats.
The sign said no enter.
Does it?
Yeah. The sign here says no enter. If we want to try or...
That says no entry with 2 skull and crossbones next to it.
Yeah.
What's he saying?
When there's a sign saying no enter like this, you have to be careful because sometimes they put the mine as a trap to prevent people not to enter the area.
But mines?
Yeah.
And he thinks that sign has been put up recently?
Yes. He said before there's no sign like this here. Now we're going to try.
What, is he going to check it for mines?
Yeah.
That's not a very safe way to check for mines.
Oh man. Oh, he thinks it's okay to go up.
Okay.
Let's go.
Just stay in the tractor tracks.
But the house we found was empty.
So was this Nun Chia's house?
Yeah.
So those trees, that's Thailand?
That's Thailand, yes. That's it.
And so that's what, 500 meters away?
Maybe less. All the leaders, they live around here because whatever happened, for them, they're always safe because they can just walk off to Thailand.
So if we do find him, is there anything you'd like to ask him?
I would say to him, I think you commit the crime, I think you should be punished, The crime you commit, it's not affected one family or one people. You affected the whole country. I mean, my grandfather, all my grandfather family, my mom family are all destroyed by the Khmer Rouge.
We finally found his new house, where he was using his son rather than landmines for security.
We're from the BBC, and our friend emailed and called, said we were coming to speak to Nun Chia and Ki Sampong. So if this is Nun Chia's house, can we just go in and ask a few questions?
But Nun Chia got no.
Got no.
Okay, we go and see him.
His wife came to the door, he didn't come to the door. And she said he's too sick, he can't talk even for 10 minutes. Reports even a year ago said he was on his last legs. Well, that could be convenient because he could well find himself in court in December of this year. And there's more evidence against him than there is against Pol Pot himself. There are roughly 14,000 papers with his signature on, saying that prisoners could be executed.
But although prosecuting the few remaining Khmer Rouge leaders won't be difficult, pointing the finger at people further down the chain becomes a little harder.
Can I ask you a question? Are you a soldier?
Yes, he used to be a soldier, yeah.
Fighting for the Khmer Rouge?
He said he was like fighting. He didn't say he was Khmer Rouge. Okay. He said he's a soldier fight against the Vietnamese, which is mean Khmer Rouge.
Was it a landmine or a bullet?
From mine.
Who gave him the wooden leg?
He said, I made it by myself.
How far do you ride every day?
2 km tới hàng ngày. It's about 10 kilometers every day, one way.
So what do you think when you see him?
First I saw him, poor guy, one leg on the bicycle, you know, and then talked to him, realized he said he's an ex-Khmer Rouge. So I don't know, man. I feel it's a bit nervous with people like that. And he would have been killing my family. I don't know. He's a Khmer Rouge, you know.
Sonny and I drove to the one town that had always been under Khmer Rouge control. It's still full of ex-members, although they've laid down their weapons and any ambition to ever run the country again.
Do you feel tense coming here?
Now I feel okay to come here, yeah. But it used to be kind of scary to come here before. It's okay.
Because the camera was there, he wasn't going to take a bribe. He was just going to let us through. No, he saw it and he went to just lift the gate up straight away.
Right.
And he said, no, it's okay, it's okay. And he came over and then took the money, but he wasn't going to let us through without taking the money.
It's very common from a top leader to little people. Cambodia is one of the top corrupt country in the world, I think.
So this is An Long Ven, which was controlled by the Khmer Rouge until 1998. It was the last town to be held by them. It's no wonder, because to get here, there's a 7-hour drive on the bumpiest road I've ever seen in my life.
Although a predominantly Buddhist country, small groups of ex-Khmer Rouge are converting to Christianity. The programme is run by Setan Lee, a missionary who was a victim of torture. He managed to flee to a refugee camp in Thailand, where he discovered God, who he says taught him how to speak English in one night.
The primary messages that we preach in this particular area is all have to do with the power of forgiveness. People have so much guilt because of the past, and they're searching and looking for forgiveness. So they no longer have so much burden in their heart and their life, their mind and soul and spirit, because as God is taking away those guilt.
And the lake you're baptizing people in, this was actually built by the
Khmer
Labour
Rouge.
camp.
Yeah, by the Khmer Rouge.
Did you choose this lake particularly?
We used to do another lake, but now they dry out. So this is the only place that have water.
What do you think?
Quite interesting. It's amazing something like this happen in Khmer Rouge area, and especially ex-Khmer Rouge joining a ceremony like this.
Some of them look very young. Some of them are just soldiers who would have joined in the last 10 years. But some of them are old enough to have been around in the 70s. But if they were ex-senior Khmer Rouge, who were in charge of a labour camp or had killed dozens, hundreds of civilians. Do you think they deserve to be forgiven like that so easily?
I don't think so. If they commit the crime, they should not be forgiven. Doesn't matter what religious they go. They shouldn't be forgiven. There should be punishment.
One man who won't be getting punished is Pol Pot himself. He died in 1998, allegedly poisoned by his own side.
That's a sign that says danger mines. And the opposite way to what it's facing is where there are supposed to be mines. We got told not to walk beyond those signs. We've just walked through that area.
But the man said he knew that this area they just been demined, so it's okay. It's safe to walk.
Including that area?
Through here also, they already mined.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sign's been put there quite recently. Look.
Like Nunchia, Pol Pot is surrounded by a minefield. But you soon cheer up when you see that his final resting place is suitably undignified.
Pol Pot was cremated here, Ministry of Tourism.
Oh yeah. Still can see the metal wire left over from the tire wheel. The tire.
You can still see a bit of tyre there.
Yeah, a bit of tire, a bit of.
So does anybody look after this?
Still people look after this place, and sometimes it's why I come here. Said, yeah, a lot of people come to visit this place, tourists, also people from Thailand also.
All right, but what about Cambodians though?
So a lot of Cambodian people come visit this place too. Even some big people in the government also come visit here. Sometimes they drove in with their big Land Cruiser truck.
How do local people talk about Pol Pot now?
He heard that people here always think that Pol Pot is a good man.
So people have offered a chicken's head, chicken's egg, piece of fruit, bottle of pop, 3 fags, and a yogurt drink, and some rice.
Sunny thought he'd cheer us up even more by introducing us to a Cambodian delicacy.
It's fresh.
Are they venomous? No.
No, but they don't kill you. They can't kill you. They hurt you.
They hurt you?
They can hurt you, but they can't kill you. Want to try the cooked one, Ben? Or we can get this cooked for fresh. But this one quite good. They're not that big, this one.
You want to try it?
You want to try? You want to eat them?
You see, look, he's Cambodian, he doesn't want to eat it. It's not normal.
Also scared. Let's go cook.
You hungry?
Yeah, a little bit hungry.
Oh, that's not it. They still look like tarantulas.
They are fat ass, very nice. Right. This is the best part of the tarantula, see? Okay, right now. It's good. So I have to take the tooth out because sometimes it hurt you because the tooth. And then you just go like that. The leg is good, kind of crunchy, but the best is juicy in the back here.
It moved, it fell off the plate and I thought it moved.
But cheery moments are few and far between in Cambodia. The casual, wholesale violence of the American B-52s and the Khmer Rouge touched almost everyone. Today, 1 in 290 people are amputees, and you see them everywhere.
He's a Khmer Rouge soldier.
Yeah. He looks too young to be a soldier.
Yeah, he lost both of his legs in the battlefield southern An Long Wang. This man, he said, because
he lost your leg as well?
He lost both of his legs as well, but they can build a limb for him.
So he lost both of his legs as well?
He also stepped on a landmine in the battlefield near Siem Reap.
So this is the clutch?
Brake.
That's the brake?
Yeah, the other side. Yeah.
And you use your leg for the brake?
Yes, he used leg for the brake too. The clutch in this side.
Where's the clutch? That's the clutch?
Yeah.
So you made this yourself?
He bought it.
Oh, cool.
Look go. He sold his car to bought this motorbike.
But landmines don't deactivate when war ends, and over the last few years, almost 3 Cambodians a day have been stepping on one. We travelled with Cambodia's first ever all-female demining team, who are gradually clearing the countryside. They're doing a fantastic job, largely because they drink less and concentrate more than their male counterparts, although no one was allowed to say that. The Americans, the Khmer Rouge and the Vietnamese left unexploded bombs and landmines all over Cambodia, and it's one of the most heavily mined countries on Earth. No one knows exactly how many, but there are millions. The process is painstakingly slow, as every piece of metal must be detected, unearthed and removed.
So basically the area is 23 metres wide and 600 metres long. And it's going to take them about 7 months to clear it. They've been working on it 5 months so far. And it's a very small strip of land. So the metal detector has found something. And then with a long thin blade she's just slicing into the earth very slowly and carefully, trying to tap the side of whatever it is she's found in case it's a mine. So they've had over 270,000 bleeps on their metal detectors in this small strip of land. 33 of them have been landmines, 31 of them have been unexploded bombs. So most are nothing, but they still have to go through this long process every single time.
This turned out to be another scrap of metal. Saying Samala is the team leader, and she was the happiest person I met on my entire trip.
And how long have you been working for MAG?
Since 1995.
9 years. And the problem will never be eradicated in her lifetime, but do you think you'll see the problem under control?
But may not well.
Yeah.
That's true. It might take a whole life. Oh, she said that a lot of mines in Cambodia. But she's worried about funding.
Actually, despite having such a dangerous job, the entire MAG team were the happiest people I met in Cambodia.
Oh, good. Oh, so it's for you. In there.
They're happy because they have guaranteed work and are paid $200 a month, 10 times more than policemen. And if all that weren't enough, Cambodia's rainforests are also being destroyed. We went out on patrol with Wild Aid, a group that is dedicated to ending the illegal logging and wildlife trades. The patrol was led by Iran, formerly of the Israeli Defense Force. The first thing they found was a few bags of charcoal, waiting to be shipped off and sold. That meant an illegal kiln had to be close by. Although the kiln was hardly big business and was run by one young local girl, it still had to be destroyed.
He said by the law of Cambodia, forestry law, they're not allowed to having a business like this because it's destroyed forest, and they're gonna destroy this, and then they give the warning to her. So they're gonna tell her the law. She said, of course I knew that it's illegal now, but there's no other option for me to do. I have to make a living for somehow, and this is the only option I can have.
Do you ever feel sorry for the people you catch? It's a tough place to make a living, isn't it?
It is tough. That's the more difficult part of this job.
It's made even more difficult by the fact that the buyers, the big men at the top, are almost never caught.
So she lives here with her mother and father and sister, and nobody else. Her mother and father run this little farm, which seems like a good little farm, will give them enough to survive on, but she has just lost the equivalent of a very good monthly salary in a place where a very good monthly salary seems hard, if not almost impossible, to come by.
But Wild Aid also achieved plenty of triumphs that are easier to enjoy. They're dedicated to ending the illegal trade in wildlife and regularly rescue and release animals into protected rainforest.
Wildlife trading is big money. I think it's after drugs, before weapons in the world, in the illegal market. So
Makes more money than weapons?
Yeah. Illegally, not legally.
Yeah.
So after drugs you get wildlife. If it's so profitable, then people will try to get money. We try to fight them.
The next day, Sonny and I were off to Battambang, Cambodia's second largest city.
The engine doesn't sound too good. Struggling after the first minute.
Hopefully it will be fine.
This is the fast boat, yeah?
The fastest boat in Cambodia. It's stuck in the mud. It's a dry season and affecting from the dam in China. So it lowered the water here.
He definitely doesn't need a hand pushing.
No, he said no need to hurt him. He'll be okay.
We'd come to visit an AIDS orphanage in a Buddhist monastery. The Cambodian Prime Minister claims that the recent spread of AIDS is due to the sex industry that boomed when the UN peacekeepers were here at the end of the war. Mooney has raised 462 children who have all lost their parents. He also helps families who have lost mothers and fathers through AIDS.
She was born 2 months premature.
She was born when she was 7 months pregnant, and her mom passed away 2 months ago. She is now 3.5 months.
And her mother died of age-related illnesses.
Her mother passed away because of AIDS.
In this, the families have 4 people.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 people already died.
Yeah.
And now still 2 people living with HIV.
The 4 people in this family who became HIV positive, how did they become HIV positive?
Sex worker.
While we were there, another abandoned baby was delivered to Mooney.
He found his child on the rice field with a bottle of milk and some money with him, with the baby.
We think that maybe he has HIV, but we try to take care of him now.
You think he's one of the children who is HIV positive?
Not yet, but we think her parents already died already.
Both her parents died of AIDS?
Yeah.
So
So they suspect the little one is she's positive.
And they like it here?
Good. They like it here.
But although the Prime Minister has acknowledged the problem, Mooney survives on donations and gets nothing from the government, except permission to raise these kids. Some families were lucky enough to flee Cambodia's wars altogether. Many fled to America itself, but once the streets turned out not to be paved with gold, they ended up in the poorer neighbourhoods, and often their kids got into gang culture. Hawaii is one of hundreds of kids who ended up in jail and then got deported upon release. To most, it's like being sent to a foreign country where they don't even speak the language.
And what were you in jail for in Hawaii?
I beat a police officer stupid. Man, that nigga blind, brain damage and everything now. It's on the internet if you punch in my name. I'm the first juvenile in Hawaii to ever be tried as an adult on TV. Locked up since I was 18, man. 17.
That's quite a lot for a 24-year-old.
I've been through it all, man.
So literally, you get put on a plane with the clothes you're wearing and nothing else?
Nothing else, man.
And you get sent to a country, and when was
I had some money though, I had like $500.
When was the last time you'd been in Cambodia?
I left here when I was like 7 months old.
What about the rest of your family?
They ashamed of me, man. They didn't want me to ruin the family name. They're gonna hate me when they see me on my celly though. You know what I'm saying? Niggas balling out there like that.
Hawaii wanted to show us where he lived when he first arrived. It was a park in Phnom Penh, Cambodia's capital.
And this is where you used to live? This is where you were sleeping for a while?
Here, man, yeah. But before, the park was out there, you know what I'm saying?
How long did you spend there?
Like a good 4 months. This is one of the hookers right here. You see how she got the hat on? That's cause she done robbed somebody already. You know what I'm saying?
right here, the girls around here, right? They act like they going with you. You hand the pimp the money, he run off with the money. She go wear a hat or something, come back out and stand on the same corner. You know what I'm saying? Her name's Davy. Hi, Davy. It's the pimp out around here. All these hookers, he pimping them. So you want to take somebody to jail, take him to jail, all right? You know what I'm saying?
How old is he?
How you minor?
21 years old.
21 years old.
5 girls here and there's another 4 girls down there, and I'd be surprised if anyone was much more than 16. Do you think that's okay, putting like 15, 16-year-old kids out here?
What else they gonna do? What else they gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
So they don't actually sleep with them?
Nah, not
they
here.
They just pretend they're gonna and then
right? And as soon as you have the money, bam, you gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about these girls here? These girls are...
Same thing. Yeah, this is my whole suit right here. These niggas about to get robbed right here. Watch. You don't want to see something? Come here. Hey, move back. Come here. Don't get see. Come here. Okay, right now, you know what I'm saying? If he like her, he gonna pay for her, and they're about to take his money and just take off on him. Hey, drop him off, nigga. I'll meet you at the fine place.
I think these are the guys whose money was taken.
He probably got a gun. See dude walking with his hands pocket, he probably got a gun. That's why they took off like that. See that he walking with it in his hand?
Yeah, he's got a stick, hasn't he?
People still go over there and get robbed every time and shit, man. Ain't nothing gonna change.
Joking, but this is no way to live, is it?
Nah, this is nowhere for me to live. I'm not living out here in the streets like this. It's not my life, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. I want something better than this, you know what I mean? That's what I'm working on.
Hawaii's friend Smiley had only been deported from the States 4 months ago, and he was struggling to accept the fact that this was his new home, probably for the rest of his life.
This is where it's all at, man.
Hawaii is the only place that feels like America.
Yeah, the only place that feels like America right here. It feels like home, like back in the States.
Smiley's home is now Cambodia. The only way he can deal with that fact is if he keeps believing it's not forever. He's dreaming that one day he can make it as an R&B singer and eventually get money and a passport out.
I still want you if you gain a little weight, yeah. The way I feel for you will always be the same, just as long as your love don't change. Like that right there.
Woo!
Give it out like that.
And that's with a soul throat, you know what I'm saying?
Why American Jewish entertainers celebrate their roots while their British counterparts seem to keep a low profile. Time Shift investigates for BBC4 Next.